Chairman, the second live stream has started.
Right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this afternoon's session of the Western Area Planning Committee. The next item on the agenda is item 45 PA20/06249, Mr. D. Cruz, land north of Oak Tree Farm, Coombe Hill, Bissau, and that's on pages 82 to 95. And I think, Hannah, you're taking us through that one. Can you hear us, Hannah?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Are you sharing your screen with us? If you'd just like to try that.
There'll be 1 second.
Right, we can hear you. And, yeah, and we can see the presentation. So whenever you're ready, Hannah, over to you.
Excellent, thank you. So this planning application seeks full planning permission for the demolition of an existing dilapidated barn and proposes to erect a new dwelling with a detached garage within a field situated to the north of Oak Tree Farm. The key issues that need to be considered here are the principle of the new build dwelling in the open countryside, the impact upon the character and the appearance of the landscape and the significance of the World Heritage Site, and the impact upon highway safety and the public right-of-way, which crosses over a short section of the access. The site is located within Bissau in an area of open countryside between Cusgarn and 12 Heads. The site is not within a county wildlife site, but it does form part of the Gwennep Mining District World Heritage Site. The site is indicated within the parameters of the red hatched area. It is accessed off of Coombe Hill, the road running to the north and south. As indicated on this red dotted line here, a very short section of the access is part of a public bridleway. In terms of the surrounding area, with the exception of the highway, the site is surrounded by fields on 4 sides. There's a scattering of residential development to the east. This includes Oak Tree Farm and Coombe Farm. There's also similar sporadic development further west. Here's an aerial photograph of the site. It gives a very clear indication of the rural nature of this very green landscape. Evident is the stretch of tree-lined fields with very modest pockets of development. And immediately to the west is an area of allotments. Turning to the plans, so this is the existing block plan. There's a redundant pole barn, which is currently situated tightly along the northern boundary. There's a rural lane to the north, and this is the public bridleway. There's an existing field gate just here in the corner, and that provides access to the highway. So moving to the proposed plan, you can see that the pole barn would be completely removed from the site and replaced with a single dwelling and a detached garage. The development would utilise the existing access, and there'd be a low Cornish hedge to define the curtilage with a garden to the rear. The proposed dwelling would be formed across 2 stories with a first floor balcony and a porch to the front. The dwelling would be finished with stone across all 4 elevations with coins in the corners, slate to the roof and windowsills, and UPVC windows and doors. The footprint of the proposed garage broadly reflects the footprint of the dwelling. It would be formed as 2 stories, double garage at ground floor and a loft at first floor, finished with a mix of stone, render and cedar cladding to all the elevations. Turning to the photographs, this is the access to the site looking westwards. This is a short section of path, which is the bridleway, and the gateway is just here behind that tree, and the pole barn is just visible behind the stone wall. And this is the bridleway and the gate to the site. In the corner here are the remains of the pole barn, and then there's a wide stretch of open field with Oak Farm on lower land just down here. This is the east elevation of the pole barn. You can see that the remains are clearly very skeletal and the structure is predominantly exposed. And this is the south elevation of the pole barn. The caravan visible in the foreground here has been moved from this position, and the caravan's not known to the council as benefiting from any residential use, nor does the site benefit from a certificate of lawfulness or any residential use. Turning to the key issues and the balance of considerations, the proposal would result in the creation of a new family home. In this case, the proposal is not for a conversion, nor is it for a reuse of an existing building. It would instead result in a new build dwelling within the open countryside. It's not considered that it would harm the outstanding universal value of the World Heritage Site. However, it would harmfully urbanise this area of open countryside, and the perceived benefits of removing this dilapidated barn would not justify the complete domestication of this part of the special rural landscape. It is acknowledged that it would intensify the use over the existing vehicular access and therefore also the bridleway, but given that this is only a very short length that would be impacted, it's not considered to be reasonable to justify it on highway safety grounds. Ultimately, it is an unsustainable and sporadic form of development, and there are no special circumstances. The proposed harm to the rural landscape is not justified, and it would be in direct conflict with Policy 7. The application is therefore recommended for refusal. Thank you, Chair.
Right, thank you, Hannah. Right, we have got speakers. Just to confirm that there's nobody from the Parish Council speaking, Angela?
No, I've only had the applicant register.
No, yeah, so the first speaker then would be Mr. Cruz. Can you hear me, Mr. Cruz?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You're right, thank you. It'll be the usual format. You've got 3 minutes to speak. Really will remind you when it's 30 seconds to go, and your time will start when you, from when you start speaking. So whenever you're ready, Mr. Cruz.
Okay, thank you. To all the members of the committee, in addition to our planning application, I would like to take the opportunity to explain our connection to this plot of land, the area, and how important it is to my family. My granddad bought the farm over 50 years ago, including Coombe Barn over the road, which was the cow shed, Coombe House and Coombe Farm. My granddad lived in Coombe Farm and had what was his dairy farm, along with other animals, where I grew up, worked the land and helped my granddad build what is now Oak Tree Farm, where my grandparents now live. When my granddad eventually stopped the dairy farm, he converted what is now Coombe Barn and made Coombe House and Coombe Farm what they are now, which provide homes for 3 different local families, helping build up the community and helping it prosper until this present day. Unfortunately, over time, the land is slowly going to ruin throughout the farm. My grandparents are needing more and more help as they're struggling. I'm there as much as I can, doing what I can to keep and maintain the grounds to help my grandparents, but would benefit more from living in the area again. Due to the current market, I am outpriced in the area, so my grandparents have kindly gifted me a plot of land north of Oak Tree Farm so I can build my family home. Currently there is a barn there which is falling apart, dangerous and is an eyesore in the area, which over the years has been attracting fly tipping, as a result tainting what is a beautiful part of Bissau. As part of my application, I was asked by planners to provide a heritage impact assessment, which couldn't have been more supported. To quote the conclusion, the overall impact of the proposed development can be assessed as minor. Moreover, there will be a genuine public benefit in that the proposal will provide a much needed single dwelling house. I am a local man to Bissau. I grew up here, I went to school here, I'm even getting married at the farm this year. I also work for a local business here, which will cut out my need for a vehicle. I have support of surrounding neighbours who have kindly written on my application, and the rest have written me a letter. I'm looking for your support going forward. I'm not doing this for capital gain. I'm doing this to look after my family, the land, and be back where I love and belong. In my pre-app from the planning officer, he said he could not support this application for an open market dwelling. I'm more than happy for this not to be open market, and if there was some sort of condition to say we couldn't sell it, I'm open to any sort of local condition. This is a house for me and my family for generations to come. If possible, I'd like to call our place Bishop's Barn after my granddad John Bishop to keep my family heritage for years to come here in Bissau. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any way I can.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cruz. If you could just wait, we'll just check to see if any of the members got a question for you. David, are there any questions?
No, Chairman.
No? Okay, well, thank you very much for attending, Mr. Cruz. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, with that, we go on to the divisional member, that's Councillor Kaczmarek. Over to you, Mark.
Thank you, Chairman. If the planning committee members look at page 83 of their planning papers, they can see how dispersed these small farms in the Cornwall area. But only has one main concentration of housing, and that's up right near Frogpole. So it is sporadic. Nearly all of Gwinnett is sporadic. This isn't a greenfield site. If we look at it, you saw the photographs of a massive pole barn, and it is massive. It is in quite a poor state, and this is a local family that want to live back on the land where their grandparents live and where they were brought up and have fond memories of. What I would like members to do is actually look at the comments, because we on some refusals it considers the intensification of existing vehicular access over the public right of way. But when you look at the report from Highway Safety and Public Right of Way, they actually support it. They haven't got concerns about the countryside access team. The gate is only just off the road, and this bridleway has been washed out on numerous occasions. I believe that anything that can be done here will enhance it. It's also, as the applicant suggested, subject to numerous fly tipping issues being beside the road, and someone living there can actually stop that from happening. I believe the applicant, when I first spoke to him, was happy to enter into a local connection tie. So actually, if this could be done, then I believe it would gain more support. It's very well screened, no objections from the neighbours, and I believe this is worthy of becoming a site for a family to live in and remain for the rest of their, as long as they want to live there. It's a really good site. Mr. Cruz needs to be near his grandparents. He wants to be near his grandparents in an area where he was brought up, grew up, and he has the opportunity now to do it. If the planning committee members want to put a local condition on it, Mr. Cruz is happy with that. So I do hope the planning committee will listen sympathetically to Mr. Cruz on this one. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Were there any questions for Mark? David, have you got any questions? Yeah.
Mike Thomas, Chair.
Yeah. Mike Thomas, I can see.
I seem to be the only one asking a lot of questions today. I do apologise. Councillor Kuzma, you are one of the people I would say always points out the importance of not building in the open countryside, and this is something that comes up regularly. How do you feel that this is so different to other cases? I realise everything that we take on is individual, but why is this so different? And if it is so different, why were you not able to convince Gwinnett Parish Council that it was different?
Thank you. That is a very good question. The reason I am supporting it is because the local needs issue. It is very close to his parents' grandparents' farmhouse. It's only a small meadow that separates them, but it is a substantial pole barn, which you've seen in the photographs. I don't know if you want to put the photographs up. You know, it is an eyesore. That is a substantial building. When you look at it from the front, there's vehicles parked underneath it, and it will tidy up the area. And I do believe there have been similar developments in Gwinnett over the years to this, which have been granted planning permission, not just in my time, but in previous times. So I believe it does need to be sympathetic. And I think the applicant, when he first approached me, was happy to have a local connection attached to this one, and that's the reason I supported it. And I believe Gwinnett Parish Council, if there was a local connection attached to this one, they probably would have been supportive.
Thank you.
Right, David, are there any further questions for members?
No, Chair.
No. So with that, I'll open. Has any of the members got any questions of the officers? Are there any, David? Yeah, Councillor Mike Thomas.
Again, yep. Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, sorry, me again. Thank you very much, Hannah, for your presentation. Is there any way that this could be given Q status, as a limited understanding of the Q status, but could this come into this? Perhaps Mr. Broomhead might come in as well if necessary.
No, it wouldn't have any chance of Q status. It wouldn't, because it's in a World Heritage Site. Class Qs don't apply in any event, and as you can see, I don't think it's structurally sound.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Right, were there any other questions, David?
No, Chair.
No. Right, so with that, we'll go into the committee, open up the debate, and hopefully somebody will bring forward eventually a recommendation. So over to you, committee.
Councillor Nicholas, Chair.
Yeah, Sue.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll start it off again. Yeah, I have great concerns because this clearly is a development in a greenfield site. And, you know, I hear all the issues and the social issues and various other things, but, you know, we do usually, and we have this morning, turned down somewhere on a greenfield site. And so I would propose that we go with the officer's recommendation.
Yeah. Is there a seconder for that? Yeah. Helen did.
Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, that's right.
I see Linda and Helen come up. Sorry, I'll leave it to David.
I won't fight her for it.
Yeah. So, Linda, you second that one, will you?
Yeah, although, you know, I'm quite happy if Helen wants to go ahead. We're not precious on this one.
We only need one, so if you're willing,
okay.
you'll be fine. Right, were there any other speakers?
Can't see any, Chair.
No. So, if everybody's happy, then I'll put it to the vote. The recommendation is for refusal, as printed in the agenda. So we'll go over to Angela for the roll call.
Thank you. Councillor Bastin.
For.
Councillor Taylor.
For.
Councillor Hawkins.
For.
Councillor Eaton-Smith.
For.
Councillor Harding.
For.
Councillor Hurd.
For.
Councillor Martin.
Against.
Councillor Nicholas.
For.
Councillor Pascoe.
For.
Councillor Simmons.
Against.
John Thomas.
For.
And Councillor Mike Thomas.
Against.
Okay, I'll just count that up a moment. I can confirm that the application has been refused by 9 votes in favour and 3 against.
Right, thank you. So with that, we go on to the next agenda item, which starts 46 PA 20/0/07846. Mr. A. Richards' land at Biskennel Farm Cottage, Ludgvan, and it's on pages 96 to 107. I think Cara's taking that one.
Yes.
Do you hear me okay, Cara?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, fine. Yeah. Are you going to share your screen with us if you'd like to just test that?
Yeah, you should be able to see it in a second. Can you see it?
Not yet. Yeah, we can see that now. So over to you, Cara, when you're ready.
Lovely, thank you, Chair. This is a full planning application seeking permission for the erection of a holiday lodge on land at the Biskennel Farm in Ludgvan. The key issues to consider are the suitability of this location for holiday accommodation and the impact of the development upon the landscape. The site is outlined in red and is located in the open countryside, approximately 1 mile to the northwest of the nearest village of Crowless, which provides only basic services. The site itself is located on the outer edge of the eastern side of the Biskennel Farm and accessed off a Class C highway known as Blowing House Hill. Here is an aerial view of Biskennel Farm showing the rural nature of the site and the surrounding area. Here is the block plan showing the proposed holiday lodge and the smaller grey area to the southwest showing the proposed parking space. As you can see, the proposed holiday lodge extends the existing built form towards the east. The proposed holiday lodge is a 1-bedroom timber lodge with an open plan living, kitchen and dining area. This is a photograph taken from Blowing House Hill, travelling north past Biskennel Farm. The red arrow shows the approximate location of the application site. Blowing House Hill is a narrow, winding and unlit road without pavements. This is a photograph taken from the public right-of-way, which runs through Boskenell Farm, which shows the elevated position of the application site. This is a photograph looking towards the application site, which is directly behind the telegraph pole. This is a photograph taken of the application site, showing its undeveloped nature and prominent location within the wider landscape. So the balance of considerations are: the proposed development is not considered to be in a sustainable location, having particular regard to the accessibility by a range of transport modes. The proposed holiday unit is not located with realistic options of access to either services, facilities or attractions other than by private vehicle. By virtue of no information or evidence, it is not considered that it has been adequately demonstrated that the proposed development would constitute farm diversification. The proposed development would add to and extend the existing built form in a countryside location, thereby harming the character and appearance of the area. Therefore, the recommendation is refusal.
Right, thank you very much, Cara. We have got speakers, and the first one is Councillor Price-Jones again from Ludgvan Parish Council. Can you hear me, Councillor?
Yes, I can, Chairman. Thank you.
Yeah, right. It'll be the same format as before. There's 3 minutes. We'll give you the prompt at 30 seconds, and your time will start once you start speaking. So over to you, Councillor.
Thank you very much. Yes, when this came before the Ludgvan Parish Council, we actually supported the application, as we believed it's a very good example of farm diversification. The lodge actually sits within the footprint of the existing farm cluster of buildings and does not interfere or obstruct any highway, public footpaths, etc., and does not actually encroach on any areas of natural beauty outside the farm cluster. The case officer has actually highlighted in item 12 of her report the actual Ludgvan Neighbourhood Development Plan, which I was a part of putting together. And I'd just like to quickly run through that to show that how it does, in our belief, comply with the Neighbourhood Development Plan. Policy LUD 1, protecting the environment, says that development proposals would be expected to have no adverse effect on the integrity or continuity of landscape features and habitats. As this proposed holiday lodge sits within the farm cluster of buildings, we believe that it complies with LUD 1. The next policy that was quoted was LUD 5 incorrectly. It's actually LUD 7, and LUD 7 is settlement area boundaries. Now, this one says that housing and development growth shall be focused within the settlement area boundaries as identified in the development plan. Developments proposed within or adjoining the boundaries will be supported if they A, are appropriate in scale and reflect the character and density, B, have satisfactory road access and off-road parking, C, avoid areas of flood risk, D, do not result in significant encroachment in the countryside. We believe this holiday lodge complies with all elements of LUD 7. The next policy, identified as LUD 6, which is actually LUD 8, is development in the countryside. In this, it states that the developments in settlements areas without a defined settlement area boundary will be supported if they are infill developments within an existing continuous built-up frontage or extensions to existing buildings. Once again, the scale and nature of this building, we believe, fits within the policy LUD 8, development in the countryside. The next policy,
30 seconds left.
Thank you. LUD 7 should be LUD 9, sensitive design and sustainable development. I've looked at the materials used. I actually work in the construction industry, and this is a highly sustainable building that's proposed. The last policy, called LUD 20, which she missed out, is actually about electric charging outlets, which if one was provided here, would give you the development for hybrid cars to reach this, and therefore maintain our low carbon footprint as the council wishes.
3 minutes, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's time, councillor. If you could just wait, so I could just check to see if we've got any questions for you. David, are there any questions for Councillor Price-Jones?
Councillor Nicholas, Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Could you tell me whether this area is outside or inside your settlement boundary?
It is outside a main settlement boundary, but it's within an existing complex of buildings. So we're not extending an existing farm building area.
Okay.
Although it's not within one of the major settlement areas.
Lovely. Thank you.
Right. Were there any further questions, David?
No, Chairman.
No. But thank you, Councillor Price-Jones. Thank you very much for attending and giving the time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker we got is Chloe Pitt. Are you there, Chloe?
Hi, Councillor Harding, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I'm sure you know the rules, but just to go through them, it'll be 3 minutes. We'll give you a prompt at 30 seconds, and your time will start when you start speaking. Over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members and officers of committee. My name is Chloe Pitt, and I'm a Chartered Town Planner from Lawrence Associates, who are acting as planning agent for the application before you. The proposal is to create a holiday let that would create an additional income for my client, who owns the Scennell Farm, along with 220 acres of agricultural land, which is used for farming beef cattle, growing vegetables and corn. The farm has been in the family since 1926, and my client has been there since 1985. During this time, he has explored other farm diversification projects, such as the conversion projects, as mentioned within the committee report. Whilst the permissions referenced at paragraph 25 do relate to my client's property, given the passage of time since those applications were determined, they are not considered relevant given the change in circumstances with the tourism industry in Cornwall. Under the assessment of the principal development, no reference has been given to policy LUD 23 of the neighbourhood plan that focuses on business development. The second part of the policy supports business and commercial development that respects the character of its surroundings, that would not have an unacceptable impact on the landscape and settings, and safeguards residential amenity and road safety. Within the glossary of the neighbourhood plan, farm diversification is defined as activities undertaken on surplus land to support farming incomes, including forestry, leisure and tourism. Further, paragraph 93 of the NPPF states that planning decisions should enable the development and diversification of agricultural businesses, providing the sustainable rural tourism development respect the character and countryside. In addition, paragraph 84 sets out that to meet local businesses' needs in rural areas, proposals may have to be found adjacent to or beyond existing settlements and in locations that are not well served by public transport. Though there is not a pavement to the site, there are multiple public rights of way that connect the site to Ludgvan and beyond, providing safe and accessible routes to existing services and facilities. In terms of the alleged impact upon the landscape, Ludgvan has a rolling landscape, and this added by the screening of the site, and given the site is, the proposal is of a single-storey construction designed of recessive materials, added to the fact that the site is not subject to a local or national landscape designation, the views on this point are unfounded. The introduction of new development may change the visual appearance of the site. However, it does not mean to say that the development is harmful. This application is fully supported by the Parish Council, endorsed by the local member, and there are no third-party concerns or objections from surrounding neighbours. As such, I respectfully ask that this application can be supported. Thank you very much for your time.
Right, thank you, Chloe. If you could just wait a moment, I'll just check if there's any questions for you. Are there any, David?
No, Chairman.
No.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
yeah.
Mark Kasmarek.
Mark.
Yeah, thank you. On page 103, paragraph 25, it states quite clearly here that 2 applications were approved to remove a holiday occupancy condition, 2 developments there, and the feasibility study was submitted that stated the demand for holiday accommodation is minimal in this particular location. Has there been another feasibility study done by the applicant to say that it would be feasible now?
there hasn't been a feasibility study, but because the applications that were identified as part of the committee report are over, well, the latest ones being 8 years ago, there has been a change in tourism in Cornwall, and I think, you know, we're all aware of that, especially in this present time. So no, there hasn't been an assessment undertaken. However, the applicant, my client, feels that there is now a need for tourism, and he feels that he would be able to rent the unit and have it occupied for at least 28 weeks of the year.
Right, thank you. Were there any further questions, David?
No further questions, Chairman.
No, right. Thank you very much for attending, Chloe.
Okay.
So with that, we move on to the divisional member, and that's Councillor Simon Elliott. Are you there, Simon?
I am, Chair.
Yeah, right. After 5 minutes, we will ask you to wind up, but you might need 5 minutes, but over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I fully support this application. I think one of the important factors, and apologies for looking over, I've got the documents on another screen. On page 97, you can clearly see that the proposal is within that cluster of buildings. I think it is slightly misleading when you first look at it, thinking the area over the road, but of course that is the wastewater management, and therefore the building is within the cluster of the farm. We have seen a lot of other holiday lettings around farms where they're not as closely tied as this, but have taken advantage of things such as large glamping safari tents that are actually equal in structure and size to this. I think this is a very well designed building. The parish council were absolutely clear in their full support for this, and you will see from our voting record that we do not often support buildings that are away from settlements. So I think that goes to show that we have been prudent with our approval for other sites, or lack of approval. We fully support this, and I support it as the divisional member as well. The comments regarding it being, if you like, inaccessible from other services, I think the village of Prowlers would resent slightly being said it had limited services there. The site is accessible to other facilities, and is just the sort of thing that people are going to be heading for over the coming months and years through COVID worry. So I think there is a clear market out there for this, and I fully support farm diversification as an aside anyway. I'm happy to take any questions, but I don't think I need to go beyond what Clive has already said on behalf of the parish.
Thank you. Were there any questions for Simon, David?
No, Chair.
No. Right, thank you. So we move on. Has any members got any questions for the officers?
None yet, sir. No.
Chairman, it's Mark. I just need to come in. I think the parish council and the agent are not quoting the up-to-date Ludgem Parish Neighbourhood Plan. I've looked at the referendum version, although the policies are similar to what they quoted, but the numbers are correct as in the report.
Yeah, right, thank you. Right, so no further comments from officers or no more questions from members. So with that, we'll move into the committee. Over to you, members. If anybody want to open up for debate and then hopefully bring forward a recommendation. Any takers?
Not yet, Chair.
Yeah.
Do you want me to come in a minute, Chairman, just to clarify?
We do have John Martin now.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you? We'll get Mr. Broomhead if you want to come in to clarify something, and then I'll go back to Councillor Martin.
I just want to clarify. We as officers are fully supportive of farm diversification, but when there's no robust case put forward, and there's no clear demand shown by any specialists, etc., we cannot support it. If we take that view, we'd be giving holiday caravans all over the countryside with no clear identified need. So that's why our recommendations for refusal.
Yeah, right, thank you. Councillor Martin, John, did you want to come in?
Thank you. Yes, I believe farmers do need to be allowed to diversify in this day and age. Farming is a risky business, as we know, and in this case, it's not a large development. It's a one-off on a chalet rather than a big development or a big residential house. And it's within the curtilage of the farm, and I'd be willing to support this application.
Yeah, thank you. Were you actually moving that, were you, Councillor Martin?
I can do, yes, I can move that.
Yeah, is there a seconder for it?
Well, yeah,
I'll second it.
Councillor Mike Thomas.
Councillor Mike Thomas, right. Have you got anybody else that wishes to speak, David?
Councillor Nicholas, Chair.
Councillor Nicholas.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, I have concerns about, as been highlighted by the officers, that if we let everybody build and convert in farms, we could have a lot of sporadic development, and it seems to be outside of the development boundaries on the Ludgvan NDP. So I'm not convinced that there's a need. We certainly haven't had any evidence within the paperwork to justify a need.
Yeah, right, thank you, Sue. Have you any other speakers, David?
No, yes, Councillor Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, my concerns are in the balance of considerations. You know, I think most councillors and the officers are supportive of farm diversification. The last lot of evidence submitted on this one, you know, the applicant wanted these conditions lifted because there wasn't a need, and they've now come back. They want this one approved. I think if we refuse this one today, and the applicant comes back and can demonstrate a need, then in planning terms, we have the right grounds to approve it. But at the moment, what we have before us, I cannot support.
Right, thank you, Mark. Were there any other speakers, David?
No, Chairman.
Yeah.
Chairman, do you want me to come in with some conditions?
Yes, please, yes.
I would suggest to the proposer and seconder we have the statutory condition, the plans condition, holiday occupancy condition, and remove permitted development rights classes A to E.
Yeah, are you happy with that, Councillor Martin and Councillor Mike Thomas?
Thank you, Mark. Yes, fine. Thank you.
Yes, I'm happy.
Yeah, okay then. So if we got no further speakers, then I'll put it to the vote. What you'd be voting for would be approval, which is contrary to the recommendation in the report. So it would be for approval with the conditions that have been read out by Mr. Broomhead. So Angela, if you could do the roll call, please.
Yes, Chairman. Councillor Bastin.
Against.
Councillor Taylor.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Hawkins.
Against.
Councillor Eakin-Smith.
Against.
Councillor Harding.
Against.
Councillor Hurd.
Against.
Councillor Kaczmarek.
Against.
Councillor Martin.
For.
Councillor Nicholas.
Against.
Councillor Pascoe.
For.
Councillor Simmons.
Against.
Councillor John Thomas.
Against.
Mike Thomas.
For.
Thank you. At the moment. Yeah, that motion for approval has fallen by 4 votes in favour, 9 against and no abstentions.
Right, so that's fallen, so I'll now need another proposal. So I presume it would be for refusal. Mark, is your name come up? Is it Mark Kaczmarek?
Mine's on top of Chairman, doesn't matter.
Sorry, only name right.
John's hand came up first, so he's quicker on the draw, he was.
Yeah, right, Councillor John Thomas then.
I think me and Mark are going to go for the same thing, but yeah, either way, move as set out, Chairman.
Yeah, thank you. And did you want to second that, Mark?
Yeah, second that.
Yeah, so that's refusal, which has been proposed by Councillor John Thomas, seconded by Councillor Mark Kaczmarek. That's a refusal as per printed in the agenda. So if you'd like to do the roll call on that, Angela, please.
Yep. Councillor Bastin.
For.
Councillor Taylor.
Against.
Councillor Hawkins.
For.
Councillor Eakin-Smith.
For.
Councillor Harding.
For.
Councillor Hurd.
Against.
Councillor Kaczmarek.
For.
Councillor Martin.
Against.
Councillor Nicholas.
For.
Councillor Pascoe.
Against.
Simmons.
For.
Councillor John Thomas.
For.
And Councillor Mike Thomas.
Against.
Thank you. I'll just count that up. The refusal has been carried by 8 votes in favour and 5 against.
Right, thank you. So with that, we go on to agenda item 5. That's any other business that the chairman considers to be of urgency. I'm pleased to say there is none. So it only leaves me to say thank you very much for your attendance. And well, I don't think anybody's got a journey home. So just thank you very much for your attendance, and just like to thank all the officers and Rowena and everybody that's managed to get through it, managed to get us through it today. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll just wait for confirmation when the live stream has stopped.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, officers.
Thank you. Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye, Roger.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, officers.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.